Hey everyone, welcome to Module 10, Week 10. We are on the downhill slide for show. So hang in there. We've got class this weekend. Let's jump into what class this weekend looks like first, okay? So class this weekend, we will be demonstrating. And given the exit interviews I've had the last 4 or 5 semesters, you're not just going to demonstrate once for a grade, you're going to demonstrate twice. That way, there's not as much pressure on the one time when you have to go. You get a chance to demonstrate twice. What I'm going to do here to modify this and make this work, you'll see something new on our Blackboard this week, and it's our supervised feedback form. This is going to be supervised feedback forms for October the 24th. And then we'll also have one for our November class. And so you'll have a chance to open this document, download it, keep it yourself. This is what it looks like. This is the supervised feedback form. And so what you'll do, there is not a better way for me to arrange this class than to keep you in your triads. You're going to stay in your triads and continue to work with each other and counsel each other. Now, I am going to drop in occasionally with a couple of you, maybe 3 or 4. I'm in a triad myself. We had a student that didn't continue. So we're going to have, that 14 number. Originally, we had 15 planned. So we're going to continue this, and you're going to have an observer, and then one person be the client and one person be the counselor, and then trade off. The observer will be responsible for filling out this feedback form. We'll go over that in more detail on Saturday morning. Remember, it's at 9 a.m. I've added a few things, so you'll have a chance to jot in strengths that you observed and concerns or opportunity for improvement, and then you'll want to put your name here. When you get done with this, people were concerned, okay, where do I put this? You're going to upload this, because if you remember from the syllabus, you're getting credit for your participation as a student. So this is a participation heavy class. Basically 1/3 of your grade is based on either you presenting as a counselor, or you giving feedback, or you also being a client. So you can see here, participation demonstration is worth 100 points. So I'm making this worth 50. And so you don't. The good thing about this is you don't have to do the video, transcribe it, and reflect. The good thing about our demonstrations in class is you have somebody else giving you feedback. You're not, and you get to verbally do this. So I may, for the second exam, I am probably going to make that not a vignette like we did. Probably going to be something a little bit different, and we'll get there when we get there. But anyway, that said, here's our week: behavioral approaches, and then we meet from 9 to 3, and so yeah. So you're gonna upload your supervised feedback forms. These are going to be worth 50 this week, and they're going to be worth 50 the next time we meet in November. So hopefully that helps. I did get a chance to grade everyone on their midterms, and so I wanted to give some feedback on the midterms. For the most part, people did really well. Folks really jumped into that vignette, tried to put themselves in the client's shoes, and tried to really work through what those sessions might look like. That was part of the assignment. And in that midterm, it was specifically designed to mimic what you will do in the comprehensive exam, your last semester of the program here. And so many of you are going to take that in the spring. Many of you are well on your way. If you scored really high, I would take that as a feather in your cap that you've got your kind of the format down. It'll change a little bit when you get to comps, but for the most part, the strengths of your theory, the weaknesses of your theory, the primary fundamental presuppositions, role of the counselor, role of the client, what you would do in session. All of those things are in play. If you're LADC, you'll know that it was a little harder. You had to integrate information about stages of change. That's intentional. You are taking on two tracks on that 60-hour program. Some of you that were in LADC, I noticed also were trying to take what your agency currently is doing and trying to superimpose that into this. And there were probably 3 or 4 of you that did this, superimpose this into your case study. That will help you when it comes to your case study and oral defense for your LADC license. For this particular degree, because you're doing LPC, LADC, nobody's doing LADC only track. You're going to be responsible for more. You have to integrate your theory and also provide your own approach. And so I don't really want to see your agency's approach. As a former agency director, I'd love to see that. I have a great employee here because they're able to kind of lay out what happens in a session. I'm less interested in that here with our program, because our program is here designed to give you and for you to come out with your own philosophy of counseling. So I'd rather hear, rather than duplicate what's happening at your agency, I'd rather hear what you, from your own philosophical perspective, would do. So take that again. I'm being very critical too. I mean, I'm not trying to pull any punches. I'd rather have you mess up on a midterm in a class than get to the end of a program and not know what to do. So please don't take offense to what I'm, to a lower grade. I honestly am trying to help you right now. So if we get to the end of the program, there aren't similar issues. So if you have questions on my feedback, please reach out to me. Again, it's not meant to drag you down. Again, each one of you have just poured your heart into this. Nobody was just sloughing off on this midterm. It's to help you better understand and conceive what is expected when you get to the end of the program, and for this assignment too. That said, there were some others of you, not necessarily all LADCs. There were some of the other folks, when they struggled, it is like you took a bunch of different theories and tried to throw them all in there. That's going to be really problematic when you get to the comprehensive exams, because we're really looking for you to fundamentally align with 1 or 2 approaches and be able to describe in depth what that technique would look like. If you are adopting 4 or 5 major philosophical approaches to psychology, that's going to be overwhelming. You're not going to be able to get done in the context of that MCP exam. So I would encourage you to, in the remainder of this class, to take a look at the approaches, take a look, and I try to give a little bit of the underlying philosophy in each one of my lectures, which is the bullet point and the outline for each one of the modules this semester. Try to give you just a taste of what the philosophy is. Try to find something that sits well with you and that you can defend morally and philosophically. And I would encourage you in the remainder of this class to maybe even try those techniques out in your demonstrations, in your recordings, and that way you really experience that particular perspective. It's going to make it so much easier when you get to the end of the program to write about, because you'll have that lived experience. I'm not saying that's necessarily to stick with one theory or one complete, I'm not saying that's necessarily desirable after you graduate, but for now, as you're getting ready for our end of our program comprehensive exams, as you're developing without the ability to really practice all these different approaches on numerous clients on a day-to-day basis, it's virtually impossible to come up with an eclectic approach at this point, unless you can just strongly argue for that. I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's gonna be a stretch to argue for it. Okay, that was a lot of abstract information. If you have questions on the midterm, please reach out to me. I hope that was beneficial. Let's go ahead and look at the outline for this week. So here's our course modules, and week 10, module 10 is behaviorism. And for those of you that don't know, this is really the brainchild of B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner entered a world of psychology that was dominated by psychodynamic thought, Freudian psychology, and therapy was the norm. And so Skinner took and brought science to psychology. I would argue that psychology wasn't much of a science until Skinner introduced his concepts. Skinner philosophically didn't believe that people had freedom of choice, free will. They are completely a product of their environment, and all behavior was learned behavior through stimulus response, stimulus consequence response. And so he provided us operant conditioning. I would look at all the different, like variable ratio, fixed ratio. I'd look at all of those different reinforcement types when it comes to your comps and these bigger exams. Study those things. I don't go into them in detail here because I'm interested in other things. I will say that anytime you add something, when you think of positive and negative reinforcement, positive means you're adding something, negative means you're taking something away. And so in positive and negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement, you're adding something desirable. Negative reinforcement, you're taking away something undesirable. Punishment, you're adding something undesirable. Negative punishment, you're taking away something desirable. And so people get those confused, but I would, be sure you have those concepts clear when you go into tests as well. I'm going, y'all can read this over. I'm not gonna go into this in a lot of detail. I do provide some things for you this week. I've used behaviorism quite a bit. Really, behaviorism is used in situations where people don't have a lot of cognitive ability, whether that's with a very young child, whether it's with somebody with a cognitive disability or some other situation where abstract thought just kind of escapes that person. There are some strengths and weaknesses to behaviorism. I'd take a look at these. My thoughts up here on the strengths and weaknesses. You're also welcome to dig into your old individual psychology, individual counseling text and read through those. When I worked at Meadow Lake, gosh, the whole program was built on this behavioral chart and token economy. And I've given a modified what that looked like, given a modification. I used labeled praise just a ridiculous amount when I was working with kids. You were able to look over this sheet here. It is a document that talks about labeled praise. And so when I worked with parents with young kids, I'd definitely rely on this and give this out as psychoeducation. And that's really what the role of counselor is in behaviorism. You're really giving a lot of education and helping modify that person's environment. Behavioral contract. We went over this for those of you that are in addiction and family counseling. I'm going to go ahead and include it here because it does match. So behavioral contract. In this case, I used with parents who were fighting over custody and being nasty to each other. I use this to help modify behaviors of parents because the child could hold them accountable. If they're calling each other names, accusing each other of stuff, spying on each other, telling lies about the other one, the child is going to come to me and tell me about that because that's creating dysfunction in the life of a child that they don't need. Parents, when they're in a nasty divorce, split, breakup, that's just horror. That's horror on the child. And so I tried to modify the behavior of the parents by implementing a contract where the parents and the child and actually both parents and the child agreed to this contract. And so each held the other accountable. Y'all are welcome to that. I don't know. Behaviorism, just to really kind of sum it up, it doesn't take a lot of thought, doesn't take a lot of spirit. It's stimulus response and trying to add things that are desirable, take away things that are undesirable. That's positive and negative reinforcement, and to change behaviors. It's, again, used a lot of times where somebody's not more cerebral. You're welcome to use those in session. Welcome to use the resources that are provided here. Please remember, we've got live class this Saturday. So we are going to meet, and so the way that the class will work is we'll meet, we'll kind of review things. I'll entertain questions from the midterm, the first few minutes of class. We'll go over what's expected again in the class. One person will go and demonstrate. We'll probably break around, I need to break a little bit early. I'll probably break around 11ish and come back around noon, and then have a couple of people go in the afternoon. Because the format of the class has changed so much from what I had originally anticipated, we're just going to duplicate this process in November. So all 3 people in the triad will get to go. All 3 people will get to serve in all different roles. And I will get a chance to view your recording. So I'm not necessarily, I'm not necessarily just destroyed that I'm not going to get to do what I originally wanted to do, which was to sit in and watch each one of you live. And that's okay. One of the things that I came out of this weekend, I feel a lot of hope for this class. There are 14 of you. When I read through those midterms, and there was not one of you that I felt like this person, really doesn't need to be a counselor. I really felt like, man, there's some really good folks in here, some really intelligent, just really bright, caring individuals. So I want to let you all know that y'all have made an impact on me as your advisor and as your instructor for this class. The amount of passion that you bring to help other people, and I pray that you keep that up and continue your drive. So thank you for the effort you put forth so far. I look forward to seeing you all this weekend, and we'll go from there. So take care. I'll see you soon.